Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we can have your attention again. But this time over to our sweetheart table, where we have her bride and groom seated. So now at this time, I would like to call up our very proud father of our bride, Mr. Maniscalco, to come on up here. He's gonna say a welcome speech. Come on up here, Mr. Maniscalco. Right next to your lovely daughter.
On behalf of my wife Jeannie and Steve's parents, Alan and Nancy, I want to welcome you to the celebration of Teresa and Steve's wedding. Jeannie and I are blessed to have a great family. And on a day like this, I always think back to and remember how our kids were when they were young. I would always try to tell them to stop growing up, and they didn't listen. Except for Richie, he never really... But since we had 5 young kids and we were raising them, we didn't have much money, so every Saturday night, we put on the oldies station on the radio and have a party with our kids. And whenever the song My Girl came on, Teresa would always come running and make me dance with her, and it kind of became our song. As a young girl, Teresa was smart, kind, and headstrong. She always set her goals for herself, and then she worked hard to attain them. And it's been a pleasure to watch her grow into the strong woman she is today. There was never a day that I was not proud of Teresa and our other kids. But in the short time, as our kids got older, I would tell them that the most important decision you make in life is who you marry. And after a short time of knowing Steve, we saw what Teresa saw in him. That he had a great work ethic, he had a great personality, and he fit well into our family, but most of all, he showed us how much he loved Teresa. So if you would, when they got engaged, we knew they made the right decision. If you would, raise your glass, join me in a toast. Teresa and Steve, love doesn't make the world go around. Love what makes life ride worth living. Teresa and Steve, here's to a great life.
First, I would especially like to thank everyone for coming out to this amazing day, where my best friend, since pretty much birth, and his beautiful soulmate tree, become Mr. and Mrs. Young. As most of you know, and for those who don't, I'm Steve's cousin, or as he likes to tell pretty much everyone that we're friends with or even meet, he's my uncle. True. Well, Uncle Steve, where to start? From birth, we've been pretty hard to separate. Earlier this week, my cousin Maggie sent me a couple of pictures that pretty much blew me away. In the pictures, Steve and I are both newborns, and we're meeting for the first time. Steve's mom is holding him, and my mom is holding mine. Me, sorry. Hold on. From the age 5 to 12, we played on the same Lansdale Little League team with our dads both coaching us. We probably had already had about 3 sleepovers that week. But, you know, we still asked anyway if we could have another one after the game was over. As we got older, I remember spending pretty much every single weekend in Montgomeryville, which I'm sure my Uncle Alan and Aunt Nancy loved. Whether we were walking the Wawa for the 4th time that day, playing our 80th game of 2-on-2 basketball, or dominating Steve in every Nintendo 64 game. It never got old. And Steve's house became my second home. I remember a specific day around graduation from North Penn where I thought how lucky I was to have a cousin my age and how great it was that he introduced me to so many great friends throughout my years of basically living in Montgomeryville on the weekends. As we went off to college, I made it a regularity to visit Steve in Westchester. From Ramsgate on the weekend to Thursdays at 121 Sharpless. Hope that's the right address. He always had a shot of tequila and lime waiting for my arrival. So getting the tree and Steve, I know you can listen to me talk about how great you are the whole time, but let me get the tree. It's New Year's Eve 2011. My roommates and I decided to have a big party at my house at Temple. People start arriving and the typical college party starts. I see Steve walk in with a beautiful blonde girl, and I knew who Teresa was, but it didn't hit me until I walked up and gave him a hug hello. I remember giving Teresa a hug and immediately pulling Steve off to the side and being like, wow, dude, good for you. How the hell did you pull that one off? Which probably ended up with him laughing and telling me to shut up. But long story short, it's been a pleasure to see your relationship grow from that night at a Temple house party to this very day. Teresa, you are beautiful, smart, hardworking, and most importantly, you make my cousin happier than I've ever seen him. I'm so glad to welcome you to our family. I love you guys, and I'm so happy for you too. So, everyone, please raise your glasses and toast to Mr. and Mrs. Young. Love you guys. Mic drop.
Rick. That was the best man, Rick. Or to shorten it up, we'll just call him the man, Rick. We still have one more toast to do. So now, at this time, let's call up and make some noise for our maid of honor, Victoria.
And I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight to celebrate the love and marriage of Teresa and Steve. I would first like to thank my parents for putting together such a beautiful wedding, and also Mr. and Mrs. Young. Growing up, I always looked up to my sister and I wanted to follow in her footsteps. My mom always said we were like ass in underwear, and I think that's even truer now that we're grown. My big sister, mentor for life, my best friend, my heart and soul. I'm so lucky to have known you from birth and to be able to take this journey with you. Your unwavering support and guidance, your giant heart, and of course, how you laugh at all my jokes even when they're really not funny. You have the ability to make people feel important, and you're the best listener. Here's a quote that I felt summed up our relationship. Sister, she is your mirror, shining back at you with a world of possibilities. She's your witness, who sees you at your worst and best, and loves you anyway. She's your partner in crime, page turn, your midnight companion, someone who knows you, knows when you are smiling even in the dark. She's your teacher, your defense attorney, your personal press agent, even your shrink. Teresa was pretty tough as a child and was painfully shy, so she didn't really want anything to do with anyone outside of the family. Then I came along. And from the very beginning, Teresa took me under her wing, even though I was the polar opposite. In that sense, we balanced each other out. She was shy, I was outgoing. She was a rule follower, I was a rule breaker. She loved math, and let's just say I'm still using my fingers to do addition and subtraction. But despite all these differences, we were instant best friends. I can remember sitting in our basement playing the game Dream Phone, where we would dial up a number and try to figure out which guy was our match. It was basically the Tinder of the 90s. We always hoped we would win the date with the boy who was the captain of the football team, had a wad of cash to take you out for the night in his Corvette. So obviously I figured this is what real life is supposed to be like, right? Yeah. Flash forward to 6 years ago, and Teresa was getting ready for a date. I can remember her telling me how nervous yet excited she was. I looked out the window and found a green station wagon with a Domino sign on top pull up in front of our house. Obviously, I got excited and I thought, who ordered pizza? You can imagine how surprised I was when Teresa got into the car and it drove away. And they didn't leave any pizza. When she got home that night, she couldn't stop smiling. That smile quickly went away when she realized she had to bring this new guy home and introduce him to our crazy family, especially since my dad told us we weren't allowed to date until we were 30. Sorry, Dad. And of course, there was also my brother, who decided to take Steve out early on and introduce him to his wholesome friends who are sitting right over there. We were shocked and surprised when Richie, my brother, took such a liking to Steve so quickly. Then we learned what Steve had to do to earn this approval. Steve was at the losing end of a bet, and as a result, he had to drink the worm at the bottom of a tequila bottle. Like a true champ, and without hesitation, Steve swallowed the insect, and from that point forward, he was fondly embraced by Richie and his friends, and gained the nickname of Worm Young. Yep. Steve and Teresa have such a great relationship, and I just want to give Steve some advice so that this marriage stays on the right track. All you have to do is remember to say these 3 little words every day. You are right. Okay? Can you say it?
You are right.
And remember, women always have the last word in an argument. Anything a man adds after that is the beginning of a new argument. If you don't believe me, just ask my boyfriend Nick. Teresa, nothing makes me happier than to see you happy. And Steve, I'm so lucky that my sister found someone so kind and considerate, and someone that loves her as much as I love her. Thanks for always letting me tag along on your dates. You're both my best friend, and I wish you the most beautiful life together. And with that, please raise your glass for a toast. Here's to love and laughter, happily ever after. As Teresa and Steve start their new life, let's all toast to the new husband and wife.